Hello everybody, my name is Nguyễn Tú, a student of class 12D3 of Đoàn Kết Hai Bà Trưng High School. Today I'm here for an interview about how I managed to achieve 8.0 IELTS after a month of a one-on-one private class at here SIMPace.
Alright, hello Anh, nice to see you again. It's nice to see you with the role of an interviewer and an interviewee, not as a teacher and a student like we did for a whole month. I wanted to congratulate you for getting your 8.0.
Thank you.
And also, I want to hear about your experience with one-on-one tutoring at SIMPace for the past month. What were some of your highlights?
For me, this course was pretty special. I've never really had any private class like this before, and so my first impression was that I could converse with you very naturally, and at first sight I knew that this would be a very amazing class. And about this class, I think that it was very helpful for me because you allowed me to practice most of the time, and each of these tasks you gave me were very close to an actual writing task, and that helped me to acclimate to the actual test, which I didn't have many experience. I didn't have much experience with.
Alright, cool. I want to ask you about the day of the actual test. How did you feel about the prompts, the difficulty of the prompt, and what are some of the skills that we learned together that you were able to incorporate into your test?
At the day of the actual test, my first impression was that the tasks weren't very much, any special of some kind. However, I did struggle a bit with trying to brainstorm ideas and such. Well, as I said, the tasks weren't any special, so I wouldn't say that they were any hard at all. The hardest part for me was probably the test one, when I had to talk about the subject and just paraphrase what I'm trying to refer to, because it was just very long and lengthy and hard to not repeat words that I've already used.
Yeah.
Luckily, that wasn't much of a problem, and I still managed to get a pretty high score.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. What about for task 2? I think task 2 was one thing that we had to work on a lot during our one-on-one time.
Oh yes, definitely. For task 2, I also struggled, not as much as task 1. However, this one I think I applied more skills from our class. First off is the brainstorming process. That test day I decided to just basically shorten and simplify the my planning, what I'm trying to write. At the towards the end, I even had to cut off some of my ideas too. But luckily for me, I'm an overachiever, so even after I have to cut off some of my ideas, it was still pretty sufficient essay.
Right, and
Yes.
I can tell that with one-on-one tutoring, we were able to tackle very specific issues and very specific challenges that you were having, and I'm glad that was useful. So now that you have an 8.0, what is your plan for the future?
For my plan in the future, well, my first, my actual aim for the test wasn't exactly to get an 8.0. I did expect to get around an 8.0, but my actual goal was to achieve for every single each one of them to be above or at least 7.0, and because as far as I'm concerned, that would be very beneficial for my future if I ever plan to go abroad and study in maybe Australia or in America, in Canada.
Yeah,
Yes.
awesome. Those are very, very achievable goals for bright students such as yourself. What are some advice you would give to our viewers, to folks who are thinking about taking the IELTS or are in the process of studying for the IELTS? What would you like to say to them?
My first and foremost advice for the students or other individuals who are looking towards learning here at SIMPace or just study by themselves or at any other like establishment. I believe that each of you would benefit a lot if you have like an actual interest in using English, and by that I mean to have to have like an actual hobby or have like have some sort of like maybe like some community to converse and talk with or interact with, where you would actually want to be able to understand each other very well. You want to learn. You want to be able to convey yourself in like a global or on an international like platform or some of her kind. This is what actually like carried me like this far, because back then when I was struggling with studying IELTS and I couldn't understand like I couldn't understand like half of the words in like the reading task, and was stuttering during the speaking test. I basically just turned over to watching YouTube, like just watching some series that I was interested in, and I had to learn like each word, and I also got like used to like using words or remembering like the words in specific context, that those meaning that I was already like used to, but were not to the point that I could use them naturally. So of course there are a lot more of like tips or knowledge that I can share, but that's probably the most important one. Others are also that during the speaking test, you should really like be careful in task 3. Do not use any words that you were like very familiar with. Like, like some students might go online and they might try to like Google some words that like high-level words that that can be used in like a lot of scenarios. So they try to like apply it to their speech, but then the examiner might ask them like, what do you mean by the word like you just said, and then you would have to explain it, and if you haven't like used it before, you are in a lot of trouble. For the writing task, it doesn't actually require you to do that much in like the brainstorming process. You don't have to like you don't have to like write an essay that would like get you into like university or like maybe some like A+ into like a prestigious college or something. It's just like very simple task that focus on like your skills of like just writing, like basically just it's almost kind of like writing in Vietnamese a kind of way. They just try to keep it simple, simple ideas like complex grammars, complex vocabularies, and just try to like tighten it up, like try to make them stay in one piece, like don't make them like very comprehensive, like try to make your arguments like not fall apart. For the listening test, well, there's not much to say about it, I guess. What you need to do is like when the first one, when the audio start, you have to like instantly like focus in, especially during like the test, like like when they first like just like testing the radio audio to see if you can hear it well. Like you need to like start what the kids nowadays call like lock in. Like you need to lock in, like immediately, like just waiting for until the part they start like reading the actual questions, because a lot of time it might catch you off guard, and I think that is like a waste for many students. Like they would be like completely like capable of getting a 9.0, but because they like just didn't pay, like they were just like thinking a bit too hard, and then like the brain couldn't process what they just heard and like skip right over the answer, like just so like they realized that they miss the answer and then like, get panicked and kind of like a chain reaction, you know, like butterfly effect, and you just lose more points from then on.
Right, yeah, and
Yeah.
it does make a lot of sense when, in my experience, when students are at an advanced level, we already have kind of like the skills that we need. It becomes second nature, and the more complex you try to make something, the more complicated you try to make something, the less strategic it becomes for you to get a good score. But thank you so much for your sharing today. I hope to see where you go in the future. I hope to get to hear about all your successes, and I hope to welcome more folks to come to SIMPace to see what we can do for you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.